Alright, welcome to our quick Excel graph tutorial. When you open up Excel, you're going to want to select a blank workbook, and I have already went through and put some numbers in here, so let's see. On sheet 1, I decided to pretend like I was graphing my students' test scores over the quarter, and so I put in second period here, third period not as high but still increasing, and fourth period quite a bit lower but then dropping off at the end. So, and then I have my anatomy students. Now obviously these are totally made up scores, but it helps to kind of see what we're looking for. So when I select those, I go up to Insert and I pick Charts. Now let's go to the recommended charts, because Excel doesn't always know what I want. They think I want this. And do I want this? Well, this shows second period, there are 3 tests. This shows third period, there are 3 tests. So I've seen some of you doing this, and there's nothing terrible about it. I mean, it does show all your data points, but it might not be quite as clear, or it might not be exactly what you're looking for. I am going to look around and see if I see something that I like better. So an XY scatter, in this case, doesn't really make sense because it's putting, in this case, it's putting 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which doesn't make a whole lot of sense because I don't know what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 would even mean. So I think those are meant to be my different class periods. But if you look at this one, this has it arranged differently. It obviously has the percentages on the y-axis, and on the x-axis it looks, wait a minute. What is that? 85. Where would we all have an 85? Not even quite sure what that is. But that only shows 3 sets of data. So that's looking at, oh, okay, I see. So this is 3 sets of data. Each one of these must be representing a test. So the very first test shows all the different class periods. So what I have 4 dots, maybe 5, and maybe they're stacked up in there. No, I only have 4. What happened to second period? That's odd. Why does this only have third, fourth, fifth, sixth? Well, let's just try this and see what happens, because maybe, I don't know, that's really weird. I'm going to try that again. Of course, nothing is going as planned today. So, I think this is the same thing. Insert, charts, all charts, line graph, scatter plot. That's weird. So what if I do a line graph? Test 1, test 2, test 3. Test 1, test 2, test 3. Let's try this real quick. Alright, so I have second period, third period, fourth period, sixth period, and seventh period. Now, this just shows, this is kind of making a line between second and third period, which doesn't make a lot of sense. So I don't really like that one. I'm going to insert a new graph for comparison. So let's go back to in most situations we're going to be wanting a scattered plot. So let's pick that and see what happens. So test 1, test 2, test 3. Now if I click on the gray, that highlights, wow, that's kind of cool. It highlights the information that it's graphing. So it's graphing the 90, the 80, the 60, the 95, and the 91. So that's showing the test for the whole class. Now check this out. This is pretty cool because you used to not be able to do this before. I think I can edit this here. No? No. Let's see. That's not what I want to do. Blah, blah, blah. Where did I see that? Here we go, right here. So go to the chart elements, the little plus sign. And so if I have those highlighted, I can actually have a trend line done for me. Check this out. But there's no trend, so it didn't give me a trend line. Well, there it goes. That's the best it can do. Not a whole lot of relationship there in terms of how my students did on test 3. If I pick a different data set, okay, I might want to make a trend line here. Oh, I just lost it. There we go, just click on that. Based on series, test 1, test 2, test 3. So again, a trend line might not be useful for a particular test. What might be more valuable is to see how one particular class is changing over time. So I may want to change what I have on my x-axis. So select data. So I want to switch row and column. Horizontal axes labels. Horizontal. Sure, let's do this. Let's hit OK. Let's see what happens. Did I change anything? Test 1, test 2, and test 3. So this is kind of weird because it's doing half points here. But look at this now. This orange line is representing third period. So now I can see a trend line here, right? This is representing this fourth period. And yellow, there's its trend line. Here's the trend line for this period. And a trend line for this period. Now notice how they're all bunched up. I can't really see. All you have to do is zoom on this and you can make it a little bit wider. But I'm wasting all this space. So if I format this, I don't need it to really start till almost 50 because we can't even have a score less than a 50. So why don't I say 50 here and let's see what happens. I wonder if I have to hit save. Let's just go for enter. Voila! Wow. Excel is getting better and better. So there it spreads it out a little bit more, and now you can see this class is declining, whereas most of my classes are improving. Now maybe I would say, oh, this class is not improving quite as much. Another thing you can do, first of all, is you never want to say chart title. You'd want a descriptive title like, for example, average test scores. What else could I say? Average test scores by class period. Excuse me. That gives me a pretty good idea of what I'm looking at in the graph. Now, I still don't really like that this has 2.5 on here because there is no second and a half test. It doesn't make any sense. So I'm going to format that axis. And let's see. Minimum, maximum is 3.5. Let's just say minimum 3, minimum 0. And units, let's just say 1.0. How's that work? Look at that. And the minimum, we don't even need a 0 because there is no test 0. We'll just say 1. Test 1, test 2, test 3. Wow, that's really spread out. Maybe I'll just have to smush it together like that. Okay. That's pretty cool, except, you know, your teacher doesn't like it when these axes aren't labeled. So, right-click, format axis. How about a label? Okay, so enter, but where do I do that? Axes titles, there we go. Now it put in a spot. So now I can say average test score. That tells me what it is. And the unit, I'm going to put in parentheses usually, percentage. Okay, and this 1, 2, 3 is what? Test number. Okay, so that gives you a pretty good introduction. Once you have it done, you're going to copy it and paste it into your final Word document of your graph. So there's all kinds of other things you can do with this to make it look nicer. My one tip is never format with a black background. It'll waste your computer ink, and a lot of people think it looks really awesome, but save your ink. So there's your quick introduction to using Excel. There's certainly all kinds of other graphs that you can do. Sometimes if you have a problem with the labels, you may want to try just selecting the data points and seeing if you get a different type of graph that's recommended. See, in this case, when I just had the data points, now they're recommending a line graph. So again, it doesn't do all the thinking for you. You still have to decide what graph makes sense, which is why I still make you do them by hand at first so you at least know what you're expecting. All right, good luck. Ask me questions.